Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to do a flip through of all of the journals and planners that I've used in 2019. As I said in my intro, we are going to walk through every single planner, because there are multiple, that I have used in 2019. I actually used 3 different planner setups because I get really restless in my planners. I think I found one that I really like and I'm going to use long term, which is a bullet journal system. I've gone through bullet journals before, but never in an actual notebook. Usually it's been in a traveler's notebook, but this is the first time that I've ever used a proper notebook to bullet journal in, and I'm really enjoying it. So I am going to walk you through a happy planner that I used for a couple of months, a traveler's notebook setup, as well as the bullet journal that I'm in currently. Without further ado, let's flip you over and we will do a flip through of 2019's planners. For 2019, I ended up actually using 3 different types of planner systems. I used a traditional planner, that's actually a happy planner, and then I used for a few months here a Midori setup, so these inserts are just a little bit smaller. And then in September, I transferred over to my first official bullet journal in a larger notebook. So I'm going to walk you through all 3 of these setups, starting from January and going all the way to today, which is December 1st. So let's get started. The first planner that I have for you is a happy planner that I ended up using it only until about May. I really jump around a lot in planners trying to find the best setup for my needs. And I like traditional planners in the fact that they are already set up, they're a lot less work, but they aren't as customizable. So let's jump right in. I actually used this in 2018, but we're going to start in 2019. Here we go. One thing that I utilize a lot, as you can see, is I like to put pictures in my notebooks. I will usually print these up 1 month at a time and put them in retroactively. That way I have memories for myself. The other thing that I do in my daily spreads when I'm in a set planner like this is I have to-do lists for every single day of the week. And that is it for the happy planner. And then, as you can see, I switched over to my Midori bullet journal. So let's jump right into that one. I actually had 3 inserts that I used, as well as a collections insert, which I'm not going to flip through today. But these are the 3 that I use. You can see that they are not terribly thick. They have about 60 pages in each one. So I filled up about between 1 and 2 months per insert, depending on how active I was in my planning systems. So let's start here with May. Now there are going to be some spreads that are covered up in the coming bullet journals because I do keep track of things like my bills and finances. So if you notice anything that looks a little out of place, it's because it's been covered up for privacy reasons. This is where I started to finally get into the groove of having an artistic bullet journal. I was able to do lots of creative art on the sides in a way that made it a little bit more appealing. I also started using it more intensely for my goals. So I had my goals with my monthly spreads. The other thing that I did is this was the first month, we're in June right now, that I started having kind of a theme. If you remember going back into the beginning of the month, the theme was kind of these beautiful peonies, and I would keep a color theme and generally a floral theme for the entire month, which was really fun. And then what I would do at the end of every month is I would come up with a new theme for the coming month. So peonies and pinks and greens were part of June, and July I decided I wanted to have clouds and sunshine. So these were the colors that I chose from my Crayola fine liners, and just kind of I gave myself a little doodle as inspiration for what the colors would look like together. And so that was May and June, and here we are jumping into July. You can see here, let's go back. This is the first time that I did a really intense quarterly spread, breaking down my goals into 4 separate sections. I have now evolved these even more, and I have 9 or 10 sections that I break up my goals into, which you can see in my level 10 life video, as well as my goals video that's coming up in a few weeks. I try to be a little bit artsy when I have the time, but there are also going to be spreads just like this that are very boring and practical. This is a functioning bullet journal, not just an artistic one, so this is where my life goes. And that was July. And now we have one more Midori insert, which has August and a little bit of September before I got impatient and jumped into my very last bullet journal setup. So here's another thing that I don't think I've mentioned yet. I started implementing a color also for the month. I had mentioned that every month I have kind of a color scheme, but then there'd be a primary color for every month that would also be represented in, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Oh, no. Okay, I guess not. We'll have to start that over. Oh no, the camera's mad. Another new thing that I started doing was, instead of just giving a month a set of colors, I kept doing that, but I also would give them a primary color and then use that color on the edge of the pages so that I could know exactly where that month was in the whole lineup of the year, which actually has been very helpful once we get into my big bullet journal. Since I'm only really in El Midori for about a month, it didn't make a huge difference, but it did long term, which was nice. And then I picked some colors for October. I knew I wanted it to be kind of oak leaves. I don't know if you can see that, it's in pencil, but oak leaves and little acorns. That was the color scheme that I had picked for the coming month. And now we're going to jump into this guy. Here, let's zoom you out so you can see it a little bit better. This one is quite a bit bigger. It's bigger than a standard A5. I think it's actually a B5, which Archer and Olive, this is the company that I went with, makes notebooks in that size. And I love that I just have more room than a standard A5 notebook. I did take a lot more artistic license in this journal, and I'm proud of how pretty it looks. I really enjoy flipping through this, so don't feel intimidated. You do not have to make your bullet journals look this nice, but I did really enjoy getting creative in this journal. The other thing that I did is, for my year at a glance, I would put the color, that primary color for each notebook, for each month, excuse me, and then as you can see right here, we've got the purple for September, October, November, and then December we just started in blue, and so I'll put those colors here so that I know what color each month is, as well as I had them right here. S is for September, October, November, those are the colors. And then I also coordinated them here with the watercolors, just kind of in general, those are the colors for each month. So that way everything is coordinated and I know exactly where I need to go. I really enjoy this spread. This is my future log basically, and I would keep future appointments down here. And then I also had my Q4 goals, or whatever quarter that I was in, I put right down here. So I'm able to see all of it at the same time. I'm going to make a whole video on how I do this setup because I think I haven't seen this before on the internet and it has been so helpful for me. So I'm going to share that with you guys in more detail eventually. And then I already kind of proactively laid out how I want Q1 to play out, which is going to be really helpful in the coming months. And then I have future logged all the way through to Q3. And then I've already done my 2019 review. There will be a whole video either already out or coming out very soon on how I do my annual review. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to do so that you can be the first to see this video. And then I also have already set up my annual goals. I know this says review, ignore that. My pregnancy brain wrote review, but it is my annual goals. I have those all already laid out. And then we jumped into my habit tracker. This is my YouTube tracker. I keep track of how many subscribers I have on my YouTube channel, as well as I did a lot of future planning and batching for my YouTube videos because as I am recording this, very pregnant. And so I did a lot of recording videos for the future so that I would have time to recover after I had my baby. So this is how I did it. I would have all of my topics and then all of the different things I needed to do for each topic. And that way I knew exactly what needed to get done by the due date of my baby. Here we are jumping into October. I put my goals for the month over on this left side so that I could see them very easily right next to all of my planning. I also, the creative license I took was a lot more watercolor, which I really enjoyed. Archer & Olive has very thick paper. I think it's 160 GSM, so you are able to use watercolor on it, although I was a little unimpressed. In December, you'll see it wrinkled my paper a little bit more than I wanted it to. One thing to mention about the thicker paper is it is nice to have thick paper, but it does make the notebook have less pages, even though it's still very thick and heavy. So I really only am going to be in this for maybe 4 months, and that's really not very much time for how much this planner cost, or this notebook cost. So I am very likely going to be switching out of Archer & Olive and going into a different brand that has slightly thinner paper and more affordable. This is one of the first times that I did a monthly review. I put the review over on this left-hand side. I did my level 10 life, which I'm going to be doing every month from now on instead of twice a year. There's going to be an entire video coming up in the future all about how I do my monthly reviews, but essentially I write down things that worked, things that didn't work, ways to improve, and my favorite moments, as well as the color scheme that I've picked for the coming month. And this is my cover page for October. All the words that are on here, if you read through them, are quotes about gratitude. Because Thanksgiving is in November, I decided to have a evergreen theme, but also focus on gratefulness, which was really great. Here is something I wanted to mention for you guys, just to know that I'm not always on top of things. I only really print pictures out once a month, like I've mentioned already. So what I'll do, if you can see here, I put these like little notations for myself, reminding me what the picture is. Like I know I took a picture that day, and I know it was a picture of me journaling at the park. That's what this one says. But I don't have time to print it right now. So I'll just put a little comment like right here, make sure I leave room for these pictures because I know I took them today. And you'll see those throughout my planner. That way, when I finally get the time to put them in, I know there's room and I can just print them up and stick them in. And here we are in December. Today is December 1st, so this is as far as we are getting today. I set up my cover spread as well as my November review, and then here is December. All right, so that was 2019, my entire year from January to today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hoped maybe there were some really great ideas for you that you can use in your own planner. And like I've already mentioned, there will be a video next week all about my 2020 setup, which I am super excited about. I haven't set it up yet, and I can't wait to set it up with you guys. That's one of my favorite times of the year, is right now, middle of December, when we have the opportunity to cozy up with a cup of coffee and get to planning for the next year. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we will see you in next week's video. Bye. And this is what is this?